always have to hit the button or it won't let me go. So hi guys, my name is Mary Beth, and we're going to do two different kids crafts tonight. We're going to do a finger knit headband, which we could also make it a bracelet, but we'll talk about that. And then we're going to do some straw weaving. So I'm going to pass it over to Lillian while I wave at you. Lillian's going to tell you some things about your inspirations, and then we're going to get right started. We're going to start with the finger knitting.
Thanks, Mary Beth. Hey everyone, welcome back to another live community classroom with Michaels. Today we have Mary Beth with us from Hooked to Life, ready for another exciting class. And today we'll be making the headband and a bracelet, as she said. My name is Lillian from Yarnspirations, and I'll be helping with any questions you might have during today's class. So feel free to ask questions in the chat here, and we'll be sure that Mary Beth answers them. Thanks. Back to you, Mary Beth.
All right, so if we can go right to tabletop and get going. I'm going to get going. Let me get some light on here, a little light on the subject. So I'm sure either Lillian or Jimena have put in the link to the written pattern. And what we're going to do is we're going to use 3 different colors of Red Heart Super Saver. Now, I am not using the exact colors that are shown in the picture. I just grabbed, you know, the 3 that were closest to me. But you could do all three yarns the same if you wanted a solid color headband, or you can do what we did in the picture and use all different colors. So the first thing we're going to do is tie a slip knot. Now, I like to leave we call this the tail, the part of the yarn that's not attached to anything, the part that's the cut end, we call that tail yarn. The yarn that is attached to the ball or the skein, that's the working yarn. But for this headband, because I want to make sure I have enough room to tie it on, I'm going to leave a fair amount of yarn sort of hanging off the end here. I'm going to leave a good 6 to 8 inches because I might want that later. If you have too much yarn, of course you can, at that point on the end, you can always cut it off. So to make a slip knot, I'm going to make a loop. Now, my tail yarn is on top. My working yarn is on the bottom. I'm going to bring my fingers through from the back to the front. I'm going to grab that working yarn and pull it through. And I'm going to give that little tail yarn a tug. And that is the slip knot that I'm going to start with. Now, if I was getting ready to start knitting, of course, I would just tighten it up and put it on my finger. But for right now, I'm going to pop it out. That's why we call it a slip knot, because it slips right out if you want it to, and show you that one more time. I also want you to notice I'm using all 3 colors as one. I'm using them all at the same time. So I'm just pretending it's one big color of yarn. So we're making our loop. We left a nice long tail in case we need it later. The tail yarn is on top. The working yarn is on the bottom. I'm going to bring my thumb and index finger through from the back to the front. Grab that working yarn and pull it through. Give the tail a tug. And I have my slip knot all ready to start. So I am right-handed, so I'm going to use my right hand to manipulate the yarn. And I'm going to use my left hand to do my finger knitting on. So the first thing I'm going to do is take that slip knot that I just made, and I'm going to put it on my left index finger. I'm going to tighten it up the least little bit, but you don't want it super tight, because why? Because you will take all the circulation out of your finger and it hurts. So don't do that. So you want it loose enough, you know, tight enough that it's not hanging down 2 inches, but loose enough that you're not interfering with your blood flow. And there are also pictures of this on that downloadable pattern that the ladies have given you a link to. So I want to make sure that I'm grabbing my working yarn, not my tail. I'm going to leave that tail off to the side, and I'm not going to deal with it for now. So my tail, my working yarn is coming up between my index finger and my middle finger, and then down between my middle finger and my ring finger, and then up between my ring finger and my pinky finger. Now I'm going to go all the way around the pinky. Up, over the ring finger, under the middle finger. So that's my first pass, if you will. And I have one loop on each finger. So this is what it looks like on the outside, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So now we're going to do this again. We're going to go all the way around the index finger, down, up, down, all the way around, down, up, down. So I have 2 loops on each one of my fingers. So there's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm holding that working yarn. I just do this out of habit. It's not a law, but I tend to hold it down here with my thumb just to keep it out of the way because I don't want it to be in the way. So I'm going to grab the group of yarn that is closest to my hand and pull it over the other loop and let it go. Grab on the next finger, grab that group of yarn that's closest to the, to the back of my hand, bring it over and let it go. Go to the next finger, bring it over and let it go. And now here's my last one, my pinky finger. I'm going to bring over and let it go. So now I'm back down to 1 loop on each finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to push it down a little bit. This is another arena in which you want to keep it pretty loose. You don't want to make it so tight that you can't work it comfortably, and you don't want to cut all the circulation off your fingers. This is what it looks on the other side. And now it doesn't look like much yet, but I promise it gets better. So we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. Now we're just going to repeat. So over the middle finger, under the ring finger, all the way around the pinky. Over the ring, under the middle, all the way around the index finger. And now we're not having to go make 2 passes because we already had loops on there. When we started, we had to go back and forth, right? Because we had to get 2 rows of loops on there. But since we started with a row of loops already on there, we're all good. So once again, we're going to pull the bottom one over the top one and let it go. Bottom one over the top one, let it go. Bottom one over the top one, let it go. Push it down a little bit. And this is really all there is to it. You have to just keep making sure that you have that working yarn, not the tail yarn. Over, under, over, and around. Over, under, and around. Grab this one. Grab this one. Grab this one. And grab this one. So now that I have a couple of rows on here, let's look on the other side. So if I look on this side, it doesn't look anything like the picture, right? It looks kind of wide and flat. But if I take this tail yarn and I give it a mighty tug, it's going to start pulling in on itself and make that cool, loopy sort of texture that we had going on. So this is all there is to finger knitting. We're just going to go round and round. Allie, I beg your pardon. Lillian, do we have any questions about finger knitting?
I have a couple questions. I'm wondering if you would be able to show us how to do the slip knot again.
I will do that once I don't have anything on my fingers.
That sounds great. And also, what happens if, like, when I put the string over and it crosses over the back one instead, like, how do I know which one to lift up?
I'm having a hard time with that one.
So
better
Yeah.
way to say it?
Yeah, I'll try again. So when you're putting the yarn in between your fingers,
Right.
sometimes when I put mine down, it doesn't go like where you've just put it. It goes like lower.
Oh, like here?
Yeah. So what do I do then?
I would get in the habit of pushing these guys down. And because I like to do things fast, I haven't been doing that, but I probably should have. So if you're pushing it down after every row, then it's not as likely to do that. Let me see if I have a tip. Hang on. So if I was closer to the end, all right, let's see if I can do it. And it went this way. This is the question.
Yeah, it just like gets a bit tangly and it's hard to tell which one goes to which thing.
Okay, so then what I would do is I would grab my work. Remember how I said it was going to curl in on itself and look cute? That's what it's doing now. So if I wasn't sure which one was which, that's what I would do. I would pull this down, and the one that is attached to this is the one that goes over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. And that would be like tighter and the other one would be loose, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that makes sense.
No, I'm all confused. There we go. All right. Apparently I cannot talk and finger knit at the same time. Do we have anything else?
I think we're okay so far, but if anyone has any questions, you can write them into the chat for us.
But you see what happens as you start to pull it down. You don't get that big. Remember when we first looked at it, it was wide and not so pretty. When you tug it down like this, it makes basically a tube, and it's much more adorable. Okay, so up here and down and up and all the way around the pinky. And then over, under, over, hold it. So the part that's up by your fingers looks kind of flat, but when you give it that little tug that we were talking about, you get this cute little tube. And the cute little tube is what's going to make our headband. Now, if you don't want a headband, you could stop at any point. You could make a bracelet. You could make a belt. The only thing that is limiting you is how long you're going to make your strand.
We have a question here from Patty. They asked, I missed the start, but do you need to use all 4 strands of the yarn for this kind of knitting, or does it matter?
I only have 3 strands today because that's what we recommended in the pattern that Yarn Inspirations has very nicely given you to download. Now, can you only do it with 3 strands or 4 strands? No, you could have 20 if you wanted to have 20. I also do this a lot with a bulky weight yarn. This is 3 strands of worsted weight, which is 4 medium. The Craft Yarn Council, what's the word I'm looking for? They assign numbers to different weights. So this is a 4 medium. And so you could go thicker yarn, you could go thinner yarn, you could mix thick or thin. If you have a person in your family or you are a knitter or a crocheter, this is a super great way to use up scraps because we don't need 100 yards of each color. You know, you could mix up all kinds of things. And the yarns also, they don't all have to be the same weight. I had a friend do, she had like a bulky weight, and then she had a lace weight, and then she had some glitter thread, and like she really went to town. You can just be as creative as you want to be with what kind of yarns you use. So you would keep going until you got it to be the length that you wanted to be. Again, if I wanted to do a bracelet, this is plenty big. If I wanted to do a belt, I'd have a way to get going. So I'm going to end it off. Let's see how they recommend that we end it off. Okay, it says to bind off, pull tail through stitches and tie a knot, leave long tails to use as ties for the headband. So I'm going to make a new tail, right? And I'm going to let it be nice and long in case I need it later. So let me see if I can find my scissors here. Here they are. I'm going to cut that yarn. Don't cut it super short, super close. You don't want to do that. And we're going to pull it through the loop. So I'm going to pull it through this loop, through this loop, through this loop, and through this loop. And I'm going to give that a big tug. And I'm going to tie that into a knot to make sure that nothing comes undone when I don't want it to. So here we go. They're super soft and comfy too. Lillian, do we have any questions?
We do. Stephanie asked if you could show from the beginning again.
Yeah, we can. I will do that.
And Tess just asked, can you use one strand?
If you use one strand, it's going to be sloppy and loose, and it's not going to hold its texture. Unless you use, I mean, we have, you know, that sort of anything that we have that's a super bulky, you could use one strand. But if I used one strand of something this thin, what would happen is the fabric that you're creating, because you're making fabric when you're doing this, it's not going to have any body. It's just going to be sloppy and loose. So I would not recommend one strand of a lighter weight yarn. But if you can find one of our mega bulkies or jumbos, which is a 6 or a 7 on the Craft Yarn Council scale, and you want to just try it with one, I would say go to town.
I guess like if I only had say like one blue ball of yarn, maybe I would like cut lengths of it to make 3 strands.
Absolutely, because you don't need again, you don't need hundreds and hundreds of yards. You know, you could make 3 if you had one ball, and one ball of Red Heart Super Saver has a lot of yardage. You know, the other thing that's super cool to do if you use retro stripes, or you know, one of our yarns that changes color every so often, you could get one strand of yarn and sort of orient it so that you had 3 different colors. That would be fun too. So I'm going to go a little faster this time because we've done it once, but let's go over that beginning one more time because apparently it confused a couple people and we don't want to do that. So here is our tail yarn. Remember that the tail yarn is the cut end. And then here is our working yarn. The working yarn is the yarn that is attached to the balls or the skeins. We're going to start 6 to 8 inches in from the cut end. I want to leave a nice long tail in case I need it later to tie my headband on. Now I'm going to make a fold and then turn that fold into a loop. So I have my tail yarn on top. I have my working yarn on the bottom. I'm going to bring my index finger and my thumb through the loop, grab that working yarn and pull it through, and give that tail yarn a tug. That's going to make my slip knot. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put that slip knot on the index finger of my left hand and tighten it up, but not too tight because I don't want to cut off circulation, and it's really easy to do if you get going. So now my tail yarn is here. It's hanging out. I don't want to touch it. I want to just use my working yarn. And now I have to get 2 rows of loops, right? Because I'm starting from scratch. So I'm bringing my working yarn up between my index finger and my middle finger, down between my middle finger and my ring finger, up between ring and pinky, all the way around pinky. Now I'm going to go up over the ring finger and under the middle finger. And now I have 1 set of loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 on each finger, but that's just 1 set of loops. So now to keep going, hang on, I lost my gray guy there. There we go. Now I'm going to go around the index finger, up over the middle finger, under the ring, all the way around the pinky, and then come back and go over that ring finger. So you'll know you're correct when you have 2 groups on each finger. Now I'm going to take the bottom one and pull it over the top one. And this first row, it's going to be a little loose, and that's okay. We're just getting our little tube started, so it doesn't look very perfect on the first row. Right, we're pulling them over and letting them go. So now my working yarn is here, and I've already got 1 set of loops on my hand. So I only have to add 1 set of loops. I'm never going to make 2 at a time again. Get my slip knot out of the way here. So coming up between the index finger and the middle finger, over the middle under the ring, all the way around the pinky, over the ring, under the middle, and around the index finger. Pull it off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can push these guys down. And remember, it looks kind of sloppy here at the beginning, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. This is definitely something that neatens up as you go, right? Because I'm doing it exactly the same way I did this one. And you can see how this one neatened up as I kept going. So then it's the same technique over and over and over again. Using my thumb to keep that working yarn out of my way. Giving that slip knot a little tug. I'm gonna do, let me do 2 more rows, and then I'll give that that tail yarn a tug, and you can see how it curls in on itself, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. Whoops, lost one. All right, I'm going to do 1 more.
Can I ask another question?
Yep.
What should I do if I have to put it down?
Everybody asks that.
Oh, actually, Gail's just answered for us.
Okay.
Gail
So,
just said in the chat, she said, I remember doing this years ago and we used a pencil to put it on if we couldn't finish it in one sitting.
Yep, that's just what I was going to suggest, but I'm going to finish this first. Again, this is all looking flat because I just have a couple rows on it. I'm going to take that and tug it. And you see the two edges curl in on themselves and make that nice tube. So if I had to walk away and I needed my hand, let's see, I don't think I have a pencil right near me, but I got a couple of other things. I have a paintbrush, I have a crochet hook, we have all kinds of things. If you have to take it off and then you want to come back later, what I recommend you do is go top down like that. Don't go in and out because it will be very tight when you put it back on your fingers. So I went from the top down, took it off, top down, took it off, top down, took it off, top down, took it off. Right, so you can use a pencil or a chopstick, or like I said, I had a paintbrush, there's a knitting needle sitting here, there's a crochet hook. I live in the land of craft supplies. any number of things. And then when you, oops, sorry about that. When you want to put it back on, the last one you took off is the pinky, so that's the first one you're going to put back on. So you're going to stick your finger right in that hole, pull your pencil out. Put the next finger right in that hole, pull your pencil out. And then here's my yarn, right where I need it to be, and I can get started again. And then I'm just going to go over finishing it off one more time, just because we had some people join us a little late. I'm going to leave that nice long tail. Again, because we're not using whole skeins of yarn, it's always easier to have too much yarn at the far end than not enough. So go ahead, don't be shy about that tail. And I'm going to bring the tail yarn through each loop one after the other. So there's 1, 2. Now notice I'm going top down the same way I did when I put it on the pencil. It's just if you go the same way for every single one, it's just a little bit neater. You don't want to go down and up and down and up and down and up. Once I've got it through my 4 loops, I'm going to give that a super tight tug so it doesn't unravel. See, it can't unravel now because it's all together. But I'm going to tie a knot in it to make sure that my tail doesn't come out. And I want that knot as close to the end of my work as it can get. I don't want it way up here. I want it down here near the finger knitting. All right. So here's the second one we did. This one's much shorter, but like I said, it could be a bracelet. And if you wanted a belt, you would just keep going and going and going. So that's really all there is to finger knitting. It's very, very simple and it's very relaxing. Do we have any more questions, Lillian, before I move on to our other craft for the night?
I think we're okay. And it just asked if you could use like leather lacing and other things like that for a headband.
Again, I certainly don't see why not. You know, the one thing I would warn you about the leather lacing is yarn has a certain amount of natural elasticity. I would be careful with the leather lacing that you don't make it tight. I know it sounds like I'm mostly joking, but I have done projects where I have my fingertips have turned blue, you know, because I pulled it too tight, and the leather lacing may not be as forgiving. But yeah, I think leather lacing would be super cool. I don't think you'd get too far past a headband though, because those there's not as much yardage on those spools as there would be for just regular yarn, right? Do you have anything else, Lillian?
That's it. We're ready to get started on the next one.
All right, give me 2 seconds, y'all. I gotta grab my supplies and get ready. So we're going to do the straw weaving bracelet, and I'm sure that either Lillian or Jimena or both have given you a link for that. So I'm just going to use 2 colors for this. Now I went and got my straws at the dollar store. You want the fat ones. You don't want the super skinny ones, just because the fat ones give you a more interesting fabric. But, you know, these are great and they're super easy to use. So my instructions tell me to cut 1 36-inch or 91.4 centimeters length of color A and 3 14 or 35.6 centimeter lengths of B. Fasten the 4 lengths of yarn together by tying a knot on one. So honestly, because I'm on camera and in a weird sort of awkward place, I'm just going to measure to make sure they go through all the way through the straw. And for your sake, it doesn't matter which color is A and which color is B. You can decide one is A and one is B. You don't have to go bananas. So I'm going to cut my 3 that are 14 inches, 35.6 centimeters, or honestly, long enough to go through the straw and make a knot. And then I'm going to cut my long length of A, which again, you can't see me do on camera, but most of us who are adults, if you go from your fingertips to the center of your neck, well, it's about a yard, and close enough is close enough. This is not something that's going to get ruined if you're an inch off one way or the other. So we're going to take all of these strands, so my 3B and my 1A, and we're going to make just an overhand knot. Now this is not a slip knot because we don't want the knot to move. We just want it to be sturdy. And I don't want to leave a super long tail in this case because we're not going to go back and work on these tails later. So that's good. So just like you're getting ready to start tying your shoes, you're just going to make a little overhand knot right there. All right. Now it says insert 1 length of B through each straw. So I'm going to take 1 and I'm just going to slide it down there. I think this might be a little more difficult if I had paper straws. These are plastic. And so the yarn goes pretty smoothly right down there. I would also say this, if again, you or someone in your family is a knitter and or a crocheter, you might have some big fat yarn needles hanging around. So if you're having trouble getting the yarn to go into the straw, you could use a yarn needle to help push it in there. Oh, almost. I'm almost there. So you can see it's coming out the other end. When it does that, I can just pull it. But I don't want to pull the knot inside. I just want to pull it till the knot's sitting on top of the straw. Now we're going to do that 2 more times so that we have 3 straws and each one has one of the shorter pieces of yarn going through it. And again, if I were not on camera, I would probably hold my straw up this way and let it drop and let gravity help me out. But because of the camera angle, I can't really do that. See, here it is popping out the other end. Boop. And then I have 1, whoops, don't want to pull those out. I have 1 short guy left and 1 straw left. Oh, here we go. Here's our last guy. So you can see I've got my 3 guys. All my 3 straws each have 1 strand of yarn in them, and my knot is hanging out on the top. So now it says, with the long length of A, begin to weave across the straws, alternating the yarn over and yarn under each straw. So we're going in and out. So we're going down and then up. And again, it looks slightly awkward here, but it's just because I'm trying to keep the camera angle consistent. And then I'm going all the way around that outside one. And I went under it before, so I'm going over it now. And all the way around the outside one. Now, I'm going to start cheating almost immediately. There's a note here that says if you are having trouble and your straws want to move around and they don't feel sturdy to you, it says attach a binder clip to the top of the straws to stabilize them. I could not find a binder clip a little while ago, but I did have a chip clip and that will work. So I'm going to hang just until I get it started and moving along. So let me pull this guy back down. This chip clip, I'm going to say, is probably a little aggressive, but it's what I had, so it's what we're going to use. So now around the outside, under and over. Around the outside, over and under. Around the outside, under, over, around the outside. Oh, my guy jumped out here. Over. So I'm just weaving in and out. Now I'm keeping a little bit of tension on this because I don't want it to be too sloppy loose. And like I said before, I have really enormous straws because I wanted to make sure that whatever I had, you would be able to see what I was doing. And I'm sort of doing it out of habit, but as you keep going, you're going to push the weaving up. This yellow guy does not want to stay put. Okay, I want to make sure that all my 3 strands are still coming out the bottom. And I'm just going to keep going and going and going until I'm about to run out of yarn. Keep pushing it up, giving it a little tug side to side. I want it to be pretty tight from side to side. Do you see how it's looking a little more neat now that I've gotten a few rows on there? And I'm just pushing them up, pushing them up. All right, let's talk about this for a second because my yellow straw does not want to stay put. As it happens, as I make my bracelet, I'm going to pull the straws down anyway. Eventually what's going to happen is the straws are going to come out of this completely, and what's going to hold it together is these 3 strands that are going through the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, just in the interest of that yellow guy wants to come out anyway. And then here's my working yarn is here. So I'm just going to start all over again. Let's see if I can get a better clip this time. On the outside, under, around the outside, over. Honestly, I think what's happening here is my chip clip is a little too aggressive, I think. I think the binder clip method would do a little better. Now, to get the stripe pattern that you have in the printout that you got, when you get to the end of your first long piece of yarn, you're going to cut another long piece of yarn in the opposite color. So once again, I'm not measuring out 36 inches just because of the awkward angle that I'm sitting. I'm going from my fingertip to sort of the center of my neck. And to make this stay super tight, I'm going to tie it on there with an overhand knot. Pretty close to the edge, but not so close that the knot wants to pull out. You know what I mean? Also, when you're done weaving, you can always go back and trim those a little tighter. So now I'm going to keep going. And since I added some yarn, when I'm done with my B color, my blue, or my A color, my blue, it's going to just switch right over to the other color, and that's what's going to make my stripes. And again, if you're sitting doing this on your lap or with a smaller clip, it really is far easier than I'm making it look. It's just I'm at such an awkward angle to keep everything on camera that it looks a little fiddlier than it actually needs to be. Lillian, do we have any questions?
I think we're okay at the moment. Stephanie just asked if you left a long tail at the beginning, which I
did
think,
not.
Yeah, I think that was the long length that you cut, right?
Right. I'm looking at the instructions. Yeah, it looks to me like they had a pretty short tail at the beginning. I think you could probably go either way, depending on how you wanted to tie your bracelet on. Now, we talked before about how we had our finger knitting and it was meant to be a headband, but we could have conceivably made it a bracelet by going shorter. This is the same thing. If I wanted to make a piece like this and I wanted to make it super long, all I would have to do is make these guys super long. So we cut these to 14 inches according to the instructions. So that would be about as long as this piece could go. But say, for example, I wanted a super long piece. I wanted it to be 32 inches because I wanted to wear it for a belt. I would just make these strands that long. Oops, here we go. You do want to make sure that you keep going around the outside because that's what's going to hold the whole ball game together. And keep pushing it up. See how I'm pushing it up, but you don't want it to be sloppy and loose.
There's a question here from Patty asking, how do you hide the joining knot?
Again, I think when I'm finished with my piece, I would trim it a little closer. I leave it long like that just because it's easier for me to see what I'm doing. When my piece is all done, I could trim that pretty close. And it is going to have a knot. Alternatively, you could use a yarn that changes color. You know, one of our self-striping yarns would be super cool in a project like this, or you could use just the same color all the way through if you wanted. I'm just doing the color changing because that's the pattern that we're using tonight. And so I want to follow along with the pattern so that you don't go home and go, wait, that's not what it says. And if you wanted the work to be tighter and neater, you could use smaller straws than I got. Again, I got big, thick straws because I wanted you to really be able to see what I was doing. But I do like the overhand knot. It is less likely to pull out while you're working. A double knot is more likely to pull out. That overhand knot is a little sturdier. Another great use for scraps. If you have somebody in your family who likes to knit or crochet or has a lot of scrap yarn laying around, this, you could make every stripe a different color if you wanted to. Now, if I wanted a more narrow, a shorter stripe, then of course I would cut my yarn shorter than 36 inches. And if I wanted a long stripe, then of course I could cut it longer. You really have complete control over how you make your color work go. And I keep pushing them up, pushing them up, pushing them up. And a pretty tight tug from side to side to keep the work neat. I will say, and you have probably noticed, after you get a few rows on here, it's certainly easier to keep going than it is to get started. And again, I think I would have gone binder clip if I had one within reach. You can tell that I come from a household that likes snacks. I found the chip clip easier than I found a binder clip. But my daughter's off school for the summer, so I don't know where the school supplies went. So this piece is going to be a little short and again, a little messy at the top, but when I get to the end of this A section, I'm going to end it off so I can just show you how to do that before we run out of time. And you don't want to go to the very tippy end of your last piece when you're getting ready to finish it off, because you're going to need enough to not tie into a knot with these guys so it doesn't come undone. So I'm going to take my clip off. I give this a tug real quick to try and even everybody off. And I'm going to, this is kind of weird to describe, but I'm sliding the weaving so it pops up off the straws. I'm taking the straws out, but I'm going a little bit at a time to keep it all gentle and on top of each other. I'm going to take the straw all the way out, all the way out, all the way out. So here's my piece of weaving. And again, this is not quite bracelet length because I wanted to stop in time case we had any more questions. So I'm going to take my 3 strands that I had and the end of the one I was weaving with. I'm going to tie that once again. Overhand knot is the most secure. So I'm bringing all 4 strands through. And tie that into an overhand knot. So again, if I was to wear this, I think what I would do was take this, like I would put that around my wrist. I would trim those threads like you suggested, or I could wear it this way. One side or the other doesn't really matter. I'd bring that tail around and I'd grab where these knots were. I'd leave these ends just so I could see what I was doing. And I would bring these, now that I say it, you have a couple of options. You could cut off the one you were weaving with, so that's close. But or you could make sure that these were all the same length. But what I would do is if I wanted to wear it, see where that knot is, I'd put my 3 strands through there. Oh, I missed one. Let me see if I can grab that. And then pull these guys back. And then I can tuck it under here. Again, super short just because I was afraid we were going to run out of time. So again, if you want a more narrow piece of work, get smaller straws. You do want to make sure though that your yarn fits nicely down there. And if you don't want to tie those knots, you can make a solid color, or you can get one of our Yarnspirations yarns that changes color. Not everything we have is a solid color. Sometimes they change colors, which is also super cool. I'm fond of finger knitting, but I really love how this looks. It really is an interesting weave. Lillian, do we have any questions?
We have just one question here from Stephanie asking do we have enough time to show the weave beginning one more time?
I can give it a shot, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll try, because it was a little slow. That's the only thing that worries me. It was a little slow going get those strands. So you're going to cut your 3 14-inch strands. And again, because I'm on camera and I can't really measure, where did my scissors go? Here we go. So I'm going to cut 3 strands the same. 1, 2. Oh my goodness, I lost my gray yarn. Jumped right out of my hand. My daughter is visiting me and she laughs when I'm done shooting classes. I have mess all over the floor. There's just yarn and scissors and needles and all kinds of chaos going on. And then I'm going to use my alternate color and I'm going to do a longer cut, that 36-inch cut. And I'm going to take all 4 of them. So the 3 short ones that go through the straws and my 1 long one, and make an overhand knot. And make that good and tight. Now I'm going to take my short guys and I'm going to put 1 short guy through each straw. And I'm going as fast as I can, Stephanie.
You can use gravity if you like.
There's 1. I know, but then it's off camera. It's really, if I hold the straw straight up and down, then my arms are way over the camera angle. But I also know Jimena is nice, and if we go an extra 60 seconds, she won't cut me off.
I definitely won't.
There's 2. And I will be 100% honest, and I know I said it before, I find getting that first couple of rows in it's a little fiddly. That's why I like that binder clip method is super helpful. So here's my short guys are coming out the bottom of the straw. And I'm going to start weaving with my long guy. I'm going to go between these first two and under the middle one. I think I'm going to start a little lower down and see if that helps me. Around the outside and up and down. All right, so there's my first row. Around the outside and down. Under. Around the outside. And over. So this is the point. I would try and neaten these up. I give them some, some tension from side to side. And I would get that clip on right about now, my binder clip or my chip clip or my hair clip or whatever it is that I had. And then it's easier to be able to have those bottom ones hanging out loosely. And again, the more rows you have on here, the easier it is to see what you're doing. And the more neatly the whole thing stays together. All right, Lillian, we are about out of time, my darling. And then remember, you're going to pop the straws off and just tie a big overhand knot at the bottom. So Lillian, do we have anything else before we go? Because it's about that time, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that's perfect. Stephanie says awesome, thank you. And Gail says thank you. And Tess also said thank you very much. The project is great.
You're welcome all. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it's hooked4life LLC is my Instagram. And if you want to show me your cute projects, please do that. And then I know Jimena said earlier, we are hashtag making it with Michaels, make it with Michaels, and hashtag yarnspo. So our friends at Yarnspirations can see what you made. So thank you so much for joining me, you guys. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks for joining us today for this live community classroom with Michaels. And don't forget, you can have an adult share your work on social media with hashtag make it with Michaels and hashtag yarnspo. And just a reminder that you can find more classes on michaels.com and the recording of today's class at michaels.com/classes if you want to rewatch it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Mary Beth.
Bye.